Okay, guys, and welcome back. I'm going to be starting with the engine. I'm getting ready to assemble the engine. You need the valve covers. They are chromed. They're not supposed to be chrome, so I got to strip those. And at the same time, I needed to do the wheels, get started on the wheels, because they are chrome. And here's the thing with the wheels. They are solid. They're not focused. I need focused wheels. There we go. As you can see there, you can't see through them. Pick that up, show you. See that? So that is going to be interesting. That means that the back is going to have to be black, unless I want to cut all that out, and I'm not going to. So it need to be black washed, and then the inside of the Snowflake pedals have to be gold, and then the outside is actually not supposed to be chrome. It's supposed to be kind of aluminum or alloy. I don't know if they're aluminum or alloy. They're probably alloy. But that has to be stripped because that's all wrong. And then these other parts, that's the carburetor, believe it or not, and the turbo alternator, they're just wrong. The dash, no, not chrome. Okay, so, and then these other parts I have to leave chrome, like the headlights, because we're actually lighting this one up. And maybe the tips, I'll decide on what to do with those in a moment. And this big giant thing, that is the backing plate for the tail lights so that they reflect. So that has to stay chrome. And mirrors. And the shifter. And these things which are not in the instructions. But yeah, got my oven cleaner, getting ready to strip them. Let's see how that goes. Okay, and here we go. They're all stripped now. I'll try to get really close so you can see. And I'm out here in the sun, so I can't quite see my display. But it had a lot of pre-treat. I actually had to hit it with the oven cleaner twice. But I got it all off. I think, well, most of it off. Good enough. I'll work on it the rest of the way with my tools. Oh, and the wheels. Okay, so there's my starting point. I think the first thing I'm going to do, ironically, is paint them chrome, but the automotive chrome that looks like polished aluminum, and I think that will be kind of the right finish for the outer part of the rim. And then I'm going to hand paint the inner parts gold, and then I'm going to do a tricky black wash down there in the bottom. And then I will paint the spokes, the Snowflake, with some chrome brush paint. And yeah, it's going to look really good. So that's where I go from here. I'm going to work on the wheels first. Okay, so what we're looking at here, this is the 1/8 scale wheel from my monogram kit from 1987. And this is something, I actually did this in 1987. I have that whole kit, it's in pieces. I'm planning to restore it one of these days. But there's a look at the way the wheel is supposed to look. You see how you can see through the Snowflake, whereas here on this kit, we've got this, it's solid on the back. And that's bothering me to no end, and really want to make it look like that. Now, I think that, kind of working it from the back with the Dremel, I might be able to control that well enough to do that. Boy, I don't know. Because when you look at it, on the back, let me get this out of here. When you look at them upside down, there we go, you see that this wheel is a little bit domed, and it's, ready for that. And so it was designed that way, and it will work much better. And these are straight, flat on the back, so I don't know how that's going to work, but I have to try it. So I'm going to go get the Dremel and see how that goes, see how well I can control. Because if I go into any of the center pieces, it's center, what do you call them? hexagons. If I go through once, it's going to ruin it. But of course it can be filled. It's not the end of the world. So I'm going to try it. I'm going to see if I can just grind it out from the rear. Yeah. Okay, well, it sure was a lot of work. Definitely not easy, but there it is. It can be done. Because it can be done, it will be done. Especially since I've got one of them done and the other three not done. Oh, let me show on the back there. If you pull this down, where did it go? Looking through your camera trying to... Okay, there we go. Okay, so that's what they look like on the back after you Dremel them to death. So you can see it takes quite a bit off of there. You had to take that whole, oh boy, plane off of there. And as you can see here, now interestingly, remember I had said this one's domed. Now this one's domed. And yeah, I've already test fitted them into their wheel backs. And I need to, let's just say we're not going to be able to roll. It's not going to work out so well. So the wheels will be glued still, and that's fine. But okay, so this is the bit I used to do it. Let's see if it's going to let me focus in on that. Yes, it is. So that is a tiny little bit. The only one smaller than that is the cone bit. And I tried the cone bit, and it was just going so slow that I couldn't do it. So I used this one. This one works out pretty good. And it would be fine if I just had to do the radius or circle, but you can see there I actually have to dig in a little bit to the centers. You can see a kind of a star pattern that formed. And the reason is because I have to go in on that part of the snowflake, but not all the way around, because it'll dig into the next snowflake in. Flip it over and show you. See what I'm saying there? So I hope you get it, because I can't find a pointer quickly. But that innermost snowflake would be gone if I went in a complete circle, so I had to do those little dips in to get that. And so, yeah, it's a challenge, and then of course you have to go in afterwards and clean it up with some fine tools. But it can be done, so it will be done. 3 more to go. And then we'll put on some of that chrome paint. Okay, there they are. Now, that was a lot of work. That was definitely a lot of work, because once you ground them down on the backs, you have an incredible amount of burrs and really more tweaking to be done with a X-Acto knife. Because, I mean, I wish I had shown it. It was kind of a total mess. You could sort of see it, but it did not look clean like that. And as you can see, the one up in the top right, I went clean through on those areas where I was saying I've got to be careful, and I had to put in some putty. But now at this point, oh yeah, and I wanted to point out, ooh, how am I going to do this? Remember on the last scene I was talking about how this one's domed, and I've got to find out which one of these is. I think it was this one. No, well, one of them had domed out while I was working on it, and there it is. As it turns out, it does not need to happen. You can concentrate and keep it flat to the point where it will, the wheels will still turn. That one right there. That's the one I screwed up. We'll see if I can try to kind of fix that one, because all the 3 other ones are going to turn. Anyway, now at this point, now I had said that I was going to paint the whole thing, spray paint the whole thing chrome, and then try to get in there with the gold. I've changed my mind. Actually, what would be better is to spray paint them gold and then paint the outer rim and the spokes chrome. I don't have the gold spray paint. I'm not going to buy gold spray paint just for this, so I'm going to do these completely by hand. So I'm going to try to paint mostly the inner parts with the gold, and then follow it up, because you see I've got a line there. If I have the inner part, oh, you can see on this bigger wheel, if I have the inner part gold, then it should be really easy to, you know, follow the line around the edge, because you have a line there with the chrome. And so yeah, so what I'm going to do now is paint the inner parts gold and see how that looks. Okay, so here's kind of the first look. Now I know it looks rough. Keep in mind that the parts of this are going to be chrome. And boy, this is a challenge to get in there. And when you look at it like this way, it looks like I missed spots all over the place. And of course, we're painting just the inside of the snowflake. How much closer can I get? Oop. I can get pretty close. Okay. So if there's a flaw, it's going to show. And it throws all kinds of shadows, so you find yourself painting parts of it that are already painted like crazy. But I think, well, I can see a spot there. Anyway, this is not getting completed today. I've actually got to walk away from this one for a while. That is really tedious. Kind of a neat look though, the black and gold. But, you know, I've got to do this with all the other ones, and then get the chrome on there. And so that's just kind of a work in progress. Okay, and there they are. Now, needless to say, a lot of time has passed from the last scene to this scene. But, you know what, I had a lot of fun painting these. Painting those spokes was very satisfying. Wasn't hard to do. I used my smallest brush and got in there and did it. Now let me, this is going to get a little wavy. I want to come around to the side to show. Okay, you see there? So the outer part of the rim, if you remember the last scene, that wasn't painted. That is the same chrome paint. And also those center caps. They were not painted either. They were the dark brown. And all of this done with the same paint. And with a brush. So very happy with the results. There are 2 coats on the rim and the center caps, whereas the spokes only have a single coat of the chrome, and that is a single coat of the gold in there. And this has been really good for honing my abilities again. I used to be able to paint really close-up, intricate stuff like that, and I lost the ability, and obviously I've regained the ability, and that's great. At the same time, I couldn't resist repainting the 1/8 scale wheel I had out here. If you remember what it looked like, the problem was, and I painted that, well, 20 years ago, maybe 30, many years ago, 1988, and it was before I knew how anything worked, and I had painted them looking pretty shiny, and then I put the, you know, silver, and then I gloss coated over it and everything turned gray. If you remember, a few scenes ago, this had kind of gray spokes and gray rim, and the center cap was always chrome. That's still chrome from the original chrome. But I just redid it with this chrome paint, and this chrome paint, I have it right here, it's the Tester's Silver Chrome, which is interesting stuff. You know, it looks duller than even silver, and it looks dull when it's going on, but give it about 30 seconds to a minute and suddenly it looks chrome, and it's important to put it on kind of thick so that it can do that reaction, and it definitely works. I like this stuff. And while I was filming this here, reminds me, see the center cap there? As much as I have the center caps looking really good on these, the decal sheet does not have decals for those center caps. So they are going to be left plain like that. Unfortunately, I really thought for sure it was going to have the little Firebirds for those, but nope. So anyway, very, very happy with the wheels. It was a ridiculous amount of work, but you know, it's a Firebird. You know, when it comes down to it, this kit is totally worth it. Yeah, I was recalling, you know, this Chris was saying pricey kit, and yeah, I remember it was. I think it was $100, and that was over 10 years ago. So very nervous. Definitely got over my nervousness of building rare and expensive kit, especially with a reassurance like this. I know I'm not going to screw it up. If I'm getting results like this, I'm feeling better and better about it. Now, oh yeah. Hold on a second. Let me get it into the tire so you can see. I'll put that one in the tire too. There we go. They're practically twins. So this is what it's going to look like in the tire. Aside from that, well, you know, something I've never ever in my life been able to do is paint the white lettering on the tire. But gosh, I can see that it can be done, so I guess I'll try it. And along with this one as well. There is a temptation to pull that giant Firebird into the shed and restore it now, since I'm starting to get results like this. But oh my, it's you know, it's 2 feet long, and this is already occupying a lot of space. I better not do that. But you know what? I might continue on. I might get the wheels off of it and restore the wheels for now, and get that done. But this is what I've got now. This is the end of this update, and we'll be working on the engine next, possibly, and I'll be starting some body work because I've got to fill in some warpage right there, and that's the real exciting part. That's the part that actually looks like a car. And now I'm sure that the wheels are going to look good and I can move on. That was very time consuming, but it had to be done. Now while I'm doing this, I got to thank these two. I got 2 more shop cards came in. Marco sent the cutest shop card we've got. And he was kind enough to send a second one to my daughter. So if you guys remember, my daughter does build some models, and that is her first shop card because she loves turtles, and so does Marcos. Apparently I've been talking to him and his whole family, and so thus the turtle. And also Ground Zero Custom sent me his shop card, and I haven't gotten them up on the wall yet, but I will. And I've got one more coming. I can't remember, but I will remember when it shows up. Anyway, sorry if this was a bit long. There was a lot to it. I'll try to keep them shorter in the future. And so, until then, thanks for watching, and everybody have a good one.